Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex. Lord, stop me if you heard this before. The Braves wasted another gem from Grant Holmes, who is putting together a fantastic season. 26 swings and misses, 10 strikeouts, 6 innings, shutout ball. Bullpen can't hold it, but it's not really their fault because the Braves offense didn't score a damn run. And I am at the very end of the road with this group. It takes everything in my power not to just scream at the top of my lungs with how poor it is. And I don't know, maybe all of these guys did just fall collectively, regress to being absolute crap after being all-stars before Tim Hires got here. But I do know that Kevin Seitzer worked wonders with a number of people and was falsely named the scapegoat for the Braves' struggles. The first time we've ever really had struggles in nearly a decade, and he gets the axe for whatever reason. But that looks like a joke because the Mariners have gone from 25th in runs to a top 10 offense, and the Braves have just fallen off a cliff. And I don't know if it's Tim Hires. Frankly, I don't think coaching and managing is nearly as important in baseball as it is in other sports. But whatever the message is, isn't getting through. And I think we got to start removing variables to see what the root cause. And that might lead us to a darker answer, which is all of these guys suck and we're screwed for the next 10 years. But let's at least find it out sooner rather than later. Because whatever Tim Hires is doing, it ain't working. It has been terrible. And in no walk in life can you take over and manage a bunch of subordinates and have them all regress this severely and keep your job. Every other place you would have been fired already. Yeah. The Braves don't do the in-season firing thing, but they did it already this year. Why not do it again?
Yeah. 2023 was special. It felt like we had, I don't know, two extra base hits on first pitches every single game, sometimes all of them in the first inning, and we were hunting the fastball. We killed the fastball. And then 2024 came, and we had struggles. Even outside of the injuries, there were other struggles that were obvious. The approach just wasn't there, just wasn't working. And everybody, I think collectively, most people, maybe not you, were people like, we need a new voice. Kevin Seitzer. And now those same people, not saying you, but there are a couple notable social media presence that are playing both sides of the fence when in fact they should just be like, damn, hindsight's 2020. I guess we were wrong about Kevin Seitzer. Now they're saying we should have never fired Kevin Seitzer when in fact you were saying a year ago we need to fire Kevin Seitzer in the middle of the season. So it's hard to play that game, but you're right. At a certain point, it's time to start figuring out, the root cause, like you said. And if you'd rather know the truth, a hard truth, than being told a soft lie, I think everybody could. I mean, at least if you're a man, that's what you want. And it's the only way to, correct the issue. I do want to say, on a positive note, Grant Holmes has been, and I do think that this season, at least the way it's headed, is just going to be a silver lining season in terms of individuals that were like, yeah, that whole season sucked, but at least we had this. And it made me start to think that, like, the guys that we were depending on who are obviously falling short, I'm talking Mike Harris, I'm talking Ozzie Albies, I'm talking Austin Riley, Raciel Iglesias. If those guys had just produced what they were doing at, like, a career average, guys like Schwellenbach, the real breakout of Schwellenbach, this is a breakout of Grant Holmes, Dylan Lee continuing to solidify himself as a reliable reliever. Like, this team would be an unbelievable watch every single night if just the guys that we anticipated being at least themselves were themselves. It's really that simple. Like, yeah, Jerks and Profar sucks, but even remove that. Like, you're expecting Nick Allen to be Nick Allen. It's really the three guys, Riley, Harris, Ozzie, who are severely under their career averages, and then obviously Iglesias. But, like, the guys that you want to talk about, Strider is back, it seems, even if he hasn't, touched 99 consistently. It's like he's reinventing himself. Obviously, Chris Sale's injury sucks, but before that, he carried on his Chris Sale or his Cy Young campaign. Like, golly, if the guys that are just sucking were just their career norms, this would be such a fun team to watch every single night. The emergence of Drake Baldwin, like, it just sucks that it's, boiled down to being borderline unwatchable baseball every single night.
I just don't know what happened.
Yeah,
this team was a juggernaut.
Yeah.
This team was a juggernaut for years. And the same players that we're talking about were juggernauts. These were all-stars. These were top 10 finishers in the MVP race. And even when it seems like the guys that are hitting well, the Matt Olsons, the Ronald Acuñas, when they get up there in big situations, Matt Olson aside, because I think he's come through. But when even Ronald Acuña gets up in a big situation, he doesn't come through. And it feels like every single person just has the weight of the entire world on their shoulders anytime a runner gets into scoring position. You could have bases loaded in the top of the order, and we've seen it several times this year. The few guys that have been good, and they can't get a run in. It's unexplainable. And I just don't know what the hell happened. It is so frustrating because this was supposed to carry the team for a decade.
There's been a decisive change in the feeling around this team from 2023. And I know it ended in disappointing fashion, but all anybody talked about in 2023 was how great this clubhouse was. And obviously before that, through the World Series and even past that, how great the clubhouse was, how great it was to play for the Atlanta Braves. It is now a very tense situation. Everybody feels like they're dragging, they're pressing. Nobody looks like they're having much fun anymore, which is crazy for a group of guys who are known as the fun-loving people. It just feels like there's been a dark twist behind the scenes. I don't know what it was. It's obviously unexplainable, and losing has a lot to do with it, where obviously you can overlook your business partner's transgressions. If you're making a ton of money, you're like, yeah, he sleeps around, but we're making money. Well, that guy in the clubhouse who's really, really annoying, I can deal with it because we're winning baseball games. And now you're losing baseball games, and you're like, God, every time he speaks, it annoys me. It's like, I don't know what it is, but it is a completely different culture from just 2 years ago.
It's just hard for me not to get up here.
Even last year, 2024, where we were just, gut punch after gut punch, it still felt like these guys were like, we're going to be tighter, we're going to make it. And then they did make it. And while, the season didn't end how we liked, I honestly think it was a successful season given all the circumstances of injuries. You still make the playoffs from down so many games in the wild card, yada, yada, yada. 2025 was supposed to be this, clean slate. Your two best players are back. And the cloud has just gotten darker over us.
I just don't know how you don't fire everybody into the sun. I really don't.
It's clear 2026 is going to be a much different looking team.
At the end of the year, Brian Snigger, you're expecting him to be retired, and this entire coaching staff probably gets replaced. And I think that's just going to be, a mutual split between
and then you
both
got
sides.
A staple in Ozzie Albies. He might be gone.
You're talking about Ozzie Albies. You're talking about Michael Harris. Where the hell does he slot in? Sean Murphy. And then there's got to be big swings.
The entire bullpen is going to be completely different.
There's got to be big swings that you take so you can replace other areas and get them better. Where does Jerks and Profar slot into all this? It's just hard for me. It's crazy, but I never thought we would ever be talking about rebuilding or retooling or anything like that for a damn long time. But I don't know how you watch this team every single night and think anything differently, and let alone the trade deadline this year. I don't know how you could convince anybody that you need to buy. But let's get into some of the most biggest disappointments. We each came up with our own list ranking the most disappointing Braves of 2025. We came up with a list of the top 5 most disappointing Braves. They are different, yet somehow similar. Shocker. At number 5, I have Rafael Iglesias. Now, Iglesias has been better of late, 8 straight scoreless appearances. But at the end of the day, this guy was one of the best closers in all of baseball, and certainly one of the best closers in the National League. You really didn't think you thought you had some problems in the bullpen, and it turns out Rafael Iglesias has been the biggest problem. You thought setup men without AJ Minter and Joe Jimenez could make sense, but that has been not great, but it hasn't been that bad, especially with Dylan Lee pitching the way that he is outside of last night. Iglesias has been the biggest problem in the bullpen, north of a 5 ERA, and sure, he could be better, but at this point, does it really matter? Are we even going to have a lead in a game? Maybe not. So to me, Iglesias is right there at number 5.
I got Ozzie Albies number 5, and I think it's all about perspective. My list takes it from a perspective standpoint than a like actual numbers game, because you could make the case that Ozzie right there with Mike Harris is the worst player on the Atlanta Braves, especially considering expectations. But if you look at the full scope of it, he has been in a career decline since that 2023 and now 2024. The injuries, took a toll, and it was a bad season. But again, a lot of the Braves, we just chalked it up to injuries. I did for Sean Murphy. I fully expected Sean Murphy to bounce back in 2025 after an injury-riddled 2024 season. But the perspective is that Ozzie Albies is not a 28-year-old. He's not a normal 28-year-old. Like, the guy is clearly an old 28-year-old. The injuries have clearly taken a toll. He has virtually no power whatsoever. He cannot hit southpaws whatsoever. And that was really those two things, his unusual power for second base and his ability to pretty much be one of the best hitters, period, regardless of position against lefties, has virtually dissipated. And I think, while that is disappointing, obviously he makes the list for a reason. It's almost like the trends were kind of pointing that direction, where some of the other guys on my list, the trends, in my opinion, were going this way.
At number 4, I have Austin Riley. Now, Austin Riley is the only guy on this list. I believe he's later on your list. But he's the only guy on this list that's actually playing above average baseball. Like, he's still been a good baseball player in a lot of metrics. But when you pay a guy the highest paid player in franchise history, you expect him to be an MVP candidate. You expect him to be the next Freddie Freeman. And let's make no mistake about it, guys.
That's
exactly what they did with Austin Riley. Yeah. They let Freddie Freeman walk, and they paid Austin Riley, and they expected Austin Riley to be that Freddie Freeman. Maybe he wasn't an MVP candidate. Maybe he wasn't the MVP of the league. He's not the Ronald Acuna, but he is the guy that is the leader of your clubhouse. He's the steady presence. He's the guy that gives you a close to 300 batting average and 30 to 40 home runs every single year, which is what he was. All 3 years leading up to that contract.
Plays every game.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He was who we made Freddie Freeman. That is what we did. He was supposed to take the torch. It went Chipper, it went Freddie, and it didn't go Ronald Acuna. It went Austin Riley. That was the way that the Atlanta Braves navigated this situation, and he's just not been that guy. Nowhere close to that guy. Dating back to last year, ever since he signed the extension, but especially this year because this is the first full season we've seen him healthy, and he just hasn't been that guy. I still think there could be a hot stretch. We saw him have 3 hits the other night, but still, like, to this point, it's just not been good enough. And frankly, just having a couple of hot stretches to save your season, not good enough. We need the consistency out of Austin Riley like you had out of Freddie Freeman. That's what made him so great. It was just straight 300 the entire season. There might have been a lull or two, but you can't have these 2 or 3 month lulls where you're just an average or below average player.
Yeah, 4 for me is Anthopoulos, and I'm sure a lot of Braves fans are going to put him number 1. And Brian Snitker's not on either of our lists. And I think that because it's baseball, where at the end of the day, the players have to produce. And we're not talking about the Nick Allens, because he's doing exactly what everybody should have anticipated him. Great glove, no bat. That's not the case in a lot of these guys that we're talking about. But Anthopoulos does deserve a lot of criticism, because obviously the Profar signing, it's like, yeah, you break out when you're 31 years old, where you get some power you've never had in your entire life. Literally break out after a decade in the league, 31 years old. Red flag may have gone off. The bullpen deciding to go unaddressed is still one of the craziest things ever. The decision to roll with Ian Anderson as a legitimate possible arm in your rotation is laughable at this point. I don't understand why it's every single year. It's like these guys in the rotation go down every single year. It's inevitable. You need more than you think. And it's like, duh, he says it every spring training where he goes, probably going to have 12 guys start games this year, but 7 of them are going to be 4A'ers, AA-ers, in some cases. Didier Fuentes, no disrespect, we're all high, but come on, AA-er, like, give me a break. So, yeah, Anthopoulos deserves a portion of blame for what has just been a lousy season. This is a flawed roster.
Yeah, I thought we were doing just players, but obviously I've been I've been very harsh on Alex Anthopoulos. I probably would have him higher on this list, and I think Buster Posey said it best recently, because the Giants are going through some struggles in his first thing, and they were firmly in the wild card race, a few games up. And I think they've lost, a lot of games, 8 out of 9 or something like that. They've fallen out of wild card positioning, and people are criticizing the roster. And he sat up there in front of the media and said, hey, if you want to blame anyone, don't blame the managers, don't blame the coaches, don't blame the players, blame me. I'm the guy that has control of this roster and put it together. And I think that's what you should expect. Baseball GMs are the architect. They are everything. There's a reason why Theo Epstein just walked into Boston, a team that hadn't won in 100 years and won multiple World Series, and walked in Chicago. Like, they are so much more important. They're the head coach of your organization. I know you want to blame the manager, but Alex Anthopoulos is the guy pulling all the strings.
Builds the ship, maps out the course, and all the manager does is sit up there and point and shoot.
Yeah. And so Alex Anthopoulos is the guy that deserves the blame. And for everyone that wants to say, well, he didn't have money, guys, the Miami Marlins are in front of us in the division, are in front of us.
We're still spending enough money to not be this bad.
The Tampa Bay Rays are 12 games over 500. The Atlanta Braves are 8 games under 500 and have a top 10 payroll. There is no excuse for this team to be performing the way that they are. I don't want to hear the Liberty Media thing, whether you believe that they hamstrung them or not. At number 3, I have Ozzy Albies. I don't think we have to go back into it because it's more of the same stuff, right? Like, I agree. I don't think he's been the most disappointing. There's other people on this list, but I think, the only reason he hasn't been the most disappointing is because other guys have just been so damn bad. Like, he's been abysmal. And I'm 100% with you. There were signs. He was always kind of a funky player that was 5'8", but could hit 30 home runs, and you didn't know how long that could last. And a lot of that stuff is unfortunately gone. And I think in terms of who you worried about the most on this list, I think Ozzy, if that was a thing, might be number 1, because it's hard to say that there's going to be some magical turnaround, just given who he's been as a player and the kind of success that he's had in his body type. He's going to have to magically find that secret sauce, jerks, and hit him up. But that looks like the only thing that can save him at this point.
Yeah, I've got Rafael Iglesias, number 3. Won't dive in it too much. The only difference why he's higher on my list is because he was the trustworthy arm in the bullpen coming into it. Like I said, expectations and circumstances matter in my list. And what I'm trying to project as far as my feelings, it's like, God, we got a lot of guys. Can Pierce Johnson really be a high leverage guy? Dylan Lee, can he be a high leverage guy? Dosbell Hernandez, can he be a high leverage guy? Well, at least we have one of the best closers in baseball who can come in, maybe go, 1 1/3. Sometimes if we really need it, 1 2/3 and really just slam the door shut. He's been so great for us. He's going to be a rock solid closer. He's not even a closer. And again, you said it, he's been much better in his last 7, 8, 9 outings, depending on when you're watching this. But still, he is such a big disappointment considering what we were counting on him to anchor what was going to be a mix and match, figure it out as we go bullpen.
Yeah, at number 2, I have Michael Harris. As far as, active players, he's been the most disappointing. It's shocking how he looks up there, just completely lost, totally and utterly lost. And I still do believe Michael Harris has the ability to figure this out. He's so elite defensively. Do I think the chances of him are being an MVP caliber player by the wayside or turning into a Corbin Carroll type player? Yeah, those aren't happening. I think we can accept that base, but I still think, given his contract, he could still be a really valuable piece moving forward. Unfortunately, to this point in the season, he's been the worst offensive player in baseball, and that's why he's number 2 on my list.
Austin Riley. I got number 2, Austin Riley. Some people might not like that because you said it. You go look at his numbers. They're about anywhere, depending on which one you look, 7 to 10% higher than league average. So how in the hell is he on a list higher than Ozzy Albies, who, quite frankly, has been one of the worst players in baseball? Well, let me elaborate. And it's exactly what Chase said. This guy is the highest paid baseball player in Braves history. For 3 years, this guy had an OPS, which is, slugging on base percentage, which is basically an effective tool to say, how successful are you at the plate without really just boiling it down to batting average. And he was always anywhere from 30 to 40% higher than league average, consistently getting top 10 votes in the MVP, 3 straight top 7 finishes. We anticipated him to carry the load at times for this lineup when other guys would go cold, a la Ozzy Albies, always been a streaky hitter. This guy was a proven commodity, a veteran. Last last year, 2024, among everybody else, had a down year. He was better later, but ended up getting hurt. The anticipation, he was back. He was going to be a top 3 finisher in the MVP. His defense had improved. That has seemingly regressed as well. I think expectations for me are a lot to do with this list in terms of I expected, and I said the same thing about Matt Olson about a month ago, where he's been good but not great. I expect great from my 2 guys at the corner infield spot. Those 2 guys are supposed to be great. Matt Olson has picked up his play tremendously. He is right in line with what everybody expected. Austin Riley is still not there. And while July is his best month, I'm hoping it can turn around. It's still, like you said, we're going to look up and he's like, oh, he had an 800 OPS because he had a 950 OPS in July, when I'm not going to say they were empty or hollow stats by any means, but it's kind of like, buddy, we needed you to be doing this the entire season. You aren't Ozzie Albies, who's this streaky hitter. You're not Mike Harris, who is still a young guy who has shown signs of like, is he that guy? Is he not that? You are that guy. You are supposed to be that guy, and you've been anything but.
At number 1, I have Jurickson Profar. I don't think this needs much of an explanation. The guy literally played 4 games for this team before being popped for PEDs. He's the most disappointing Brave, and everyone should be pissed off at him. Now he returns, and we'll see what happens, and he has a chance to be one of the most beloved Braves very, very quickly. I mean, Alex Verdugo gets designated for assignment in his place, and whatever you think about Jurickson Profar and how he's going to perform after that PED use, which I do think should be brought into question, if he's just an average baseball player, it's such a night and day difference than what the Atlanta Braves. It's going to be, just such a pleasant surprise at the top of that order. And we finally are now 5 or 6 deep. Hopefully, if he can be a competent baseball player, and God forbid he's actually good like he was a year ago, it'll be just it'll be such a breath of fresh air. But when you cheat and you miss the first half of the season and you sign a $42 million contract, there's nothing more disappointing than that. Nobody that played and struggled, nobody that tried their ass off, nothing is more disappointing than a guy that cheated and stole $42 million and then, obviously hurt the team and made us start. And you know what? More than anything, he made us watch all that crap. Like all the
Eli White, Verdugo,
he made us watch
Kellenic,
Brian De La Cruz. Like if that doesn't,
more than the thievery, it's the fact that I had to sit there for 80 games and watch these
for the last 3 months. You had to watch all those idiots play every day. Sometimes two of them play every day.
Right.
And the reason for that is Jurickson Profar. So if that doesn't piss you off, if the thievery, if the cheating, if all of that, you can look past that. Think about what you just watched for the last 2 months.
It's hard to argue, but I'm going to do it because I'm good at it and I like to do it. And it's Mike Harris. And this is a very personal one for me because I have gone to bat for Money Mike every single offseason since he won that Rookie of the Year, thinking this is the year because he bats .285. He plays Gold Glove defense. He's a demon on the base pass. All he needed to do was occasionally hit a few more home runs, and he was going to be in the MVP conversations. And I continually went to bat for him. I look like a complete idiot. I mean, he is literally the worst hitter among qualified hitters in baseball. He has dropped off a cliff. He looks so lost. You throw it outside of the zone, you're getting a swing. You throw it inside, he's looking. It is an uncanny ability to literally not swing at things inside the zone. I am only putting him as the most disappointing Brave because I had, in terms of similar to Riley, where I didn't expect Ozzie Albies to be an MVP. And maybe it was on me that I just had too high expectations of Mike Harris. That's perfectly fine and fair. But I just had such high expectations where he's not even like slightly below expectations. He is like in half, like 25% of what I anticipated him being, taking that next jump.
I think that's generous because he's right about 0 WAR. I think he probably had him at least 3 WAR by now.
By just defense.
Yeah. So I agree. I think what pisses me off the most, and I was trying to find the words last segment when I was like, fire everyone into the sun, and that's what it makes me feel like, is it gives all of these people that have been so negative about every little thing, every 30-game stretch that a guy struggles, gratification, because they've been wrong.
We've been the ones who are like, come on, chill out.
They've been wrong for 7 straight years, and now I'm right there with them because I frankly, I don't know if I can take anymore. We got some more conversation coming up after the break. A few months ago, this would never have been a question. I think we all could have sorted it out. Maybe have a little bit of argument about the Hawks or Falcons. But if you're talking Atlanta sports tiers in the three major sports, and maybe you can start just sneaking hockey in over one of these teams that is struggling because it's rumored to be coming back. Where do you rank the current sports tiers right now, Alex?
I mean, maybe this is just the recency bias in me. I mean, we're a playing team through and through, and that's who we are. But I am most excited about the Atlanta Hawks. And quite frankly, if the Falcons weren't just so continually disappointing and the trust that I've completely lost, and honestly, the Hawks are not far above them, they would be right there too with the Braves below them. But I'm going to go in a tiered Hawks, Braves, Falcons, and this will be a fluid list because Falcons make the playoffs and the Braves don't this year. It's a business of what have you done for me lately. And quite frankly, the Braves have done nothing but make my life hell. And at least for the Falcons, it's once a week. The Braves, every night, they make my life hell. Every single night, I got to watch them. And I yell at my fiance, and she goes, "Why are you mad at me?" And I go, "Ah." So right now, I mean, I'm Hawks top, Braves second, Falcons third. And the only reason the Falcons are third is because we're doing a lot of what ifs on the Falcons side of the fan base. We're like, Michael Penix is it. He's the next franchise quarterback. And I do believe that, but let's have a nuanced conversation. Love that word. Like, there's a chance he struggles this year, guys, and two rookie pass rushers immediately turning around a whole unit. Unlikelier things have happened, but it's not likely. So there's still a lot of ground to make up, and it is not an easy road to the playoffs. I just think let's pump the brakes. And Ray Moore still hasn't been proven to be a good coach. Let's not mix and match about the fact that like he might be the biggest hurdle in us getting to the playoffs. He was last year. So right now, and if they make the playoffs, they'll jump the Braves certainly. And so I'm going Hawks, Braves, Falcons.
I think if you're talking in terms of who do I believe is going to win the championship, out of those three teams, who's most likely to win the next championship, I'm still going the Atlanta Braves. I still have not completely given up on this season, even though I probably should. And I still think in 2026, they bring guys back. They fix up a little thing. There's still a chance. And it's baseball. There's a lot of randomness involved. While in basketball, it's usually clear cut who can win a championship and who cannot. But if you're talking about just pure happiness, like who's going
that's what I'm talking.
Who's got me excited? Who is going to make me happy watching them right now? I would rank it Hawks, Falcons, Braves. Because what did we just spend 15 minutes talking about when we're talking about disappointment? Disappointment is derived from expectations. Yep. And the expectations for the Atlanta Braves are higher. And frankly, it's probably caused us to be a little less happy when we go to the playoffs. Because when we go to the playoffs and eventually get back, we're not happy. It's always been World Series or bust.
We're Alabama fans.
Yeah, maybe we'll take a step back after this season and start to appreciate just a 100-win team like most teams around the league will do. But I'm not that guy yet. I haven't been able to soak this in properly. It still pains me to watch this team every single day. And frankly, I just wish it would end. Like, I wish we could start talking about off-season moves or something. It hurts me. And the Hawks, I've never had expectations in my entire life. When we made that Eastern Conference run, it was just a bunch of fun.
Nobody expected
it. Was just
that.
A bunch of fun. And if we do it again this year, I got a little more expectation. I still don't expect us to win a championship. If we made the NBA Finals, like, we're playing with house money. Like, we make the Eastern Conference, we're playing the house. I don't care who we play, even if we're favored. We're playing with house money. Like, it's just all fun being a Hawks fan. And even the Falcons, if we were talking about 2018, 2019, Matt Ryan, post-Super Bowl, post-tough loss to the Eagles, those years sucked. But we're now 7 years removed from that. We've sucked forever. I'm just happy to see Michael Penix go out there and have a quarterback that's a franchise. So the expectations, the bar are a lot lower. I hold the Braves to a higher standard. We've held them to a higher standard ever since we've started this show. We have treated them and given them the benefit of the doubt because they've earned it and they've deserved it. But with that expectations comes a lot of disappointment when you don't live up to those expectations. And frankly, that team pisses me off. This team, every guy on the team, all the guys that I grew to love, Ozzie Albies, and that's what pisses me off even more. Like, I love you, but you suck. And I don't know whether I can go on Twitter and just type out my feelings, but I'm like, I still like that guy.
I love him. I love Mike.
It's just such a weird situation that it's miserable to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that, if we're talking championships, and that's not what I was doing. I was just doing, current temperature check of where they are now, maybe where they're going, and just what I think of them in general. And I just think with Ansi Sala pulling the strings, Trey Young's here, it just feels like there is just brighter skies ahead. And with the Falcons, that might also be true because you got Michael Penix. I just, I really don't trust Raheem Morris, and I really don't trust Terry Fontenot all that much. I mean, I'm still skeptical. I still haven't seen a consistent home crowd at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Well, that'll never happen.
The
new shiny toys are always more exciting than the old broken ones. And right now, the old broken one is the Atlanta Braves, right? We've been playing with it forever. It's getting kind of boring watching them come up short, and now they're not even coming up short. They're worse than the Marlins. And the new shiny toys are like, oh, we have the Hawks now. We've never had we've never had any promise. Oh, we got Michael Penix. This guy could be our little Mahomes. Like, we don't know that they can break and look like crap too. But we don't know that yet. It could happen. But right now, they give us a little bit of hope. The Braves, the last thing they've given me this year is hope. We got some more to talk about coming up after the break. Vegas might be seeing the Hawks vision, but they're not seeing the Atlanta Falcons vision. After having a win total of 9.5 last season with Kirk Cousins and failing to meet that, obviously, it's down to 7.5 with Michael Penix. And I know we're all excited, but Vegas isn't in the business of giving away free money. And they're usually pretty accurate, whether it's right at 8 or right at 7, or maybe someone goes and outproduces by a win or two. But for everyone saying, oh, we're going to win 11, we're going to win 12, Vegas is laughing in your face.
I mean, people who say that stuff every year, they've been saying it every year since 2017, haven't even gotten close. Haven't had a winning season since 2017, and you've got these fools who are still projecting double-digit wins. And I'm here to give you a dose of reality, Falcons fans, that the fact is playing quarterback in this league is damn hard. It is not easy. For every Jaden Daniels there's a Jamarcus Russell. And obviously there's a lot of guys in between.
Unnecessary shade to LSU.
I mean, come on. That guy was a complete bum. Bonafide scrub. That guy can't. But seriously, and obviously I'm not saying Michael Penix is going to be Jamarcus Russell. I would argue he will be closer to Jaden Daniels. But the fact is you and I don't know. The fact is he did have struggles. There were inaccuracies across the middle and the mid level of the field. He was great short. He was great deep. But guess what? There's a big part of the field he wasn't too great at. And obviously, defenses are going to catch on to the things that he is good at and try and take those things away from him. So while I am excited about the overall future, the immediate future is very less clear, especially considering our best players defensively that we think are rookies. Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr., other than Jesse Bates and A.J. Terrell, they're rookies. You expecting them to come out and be Micah Parsons, I don't know what to tell you. That's not realistic. So while I do think that we are going to win more than 7 games, I do believe that. People who are coming out projecting we're going to be 11-7 or 11-7. I always forget how many games we play nowadays. No, it's 11-6.
11-6.
11-6. So there you go. I still don't know math, but that's just absolutely.
It'll be 11-7 soon.
Yeah, give it to me. I want more. I don't care about.
I totally agree. The only thing I'll push back on a little is the fact that for the people standing up for the people saying 10, 11 wins is. The people that are doing that are obviously betting on Michael Penix being the next, top 10 quarterback. And if you're looking at win totals that are widely variable, the Atlanta Falcons have to be at the top of the list.
That's
because
true.
If Michael Penix is the next CJ Stroud, not even Patrick Mahomes.
Bo Nix and the Broncos last year are the perfect example. They were 6.5, 7.5. They go on and win double digits.
Yeah. So there's a CJ Stroud, there's Jaden. The rookie, the young quarterback thing is a double-edged sword.
Right.
And Vegas is really standing to lose or win a lot here because if everyone hammers and believes Michael Penix, they could easily go and just crush the 7.5 number.
You're right.
They could also easily go and win 5 games because Michael Penix just loses his mind or he gets injured or whatever. So I think
I might be better for the win total.
Yeah, with Kirk Cousins. I think the variance with rookie quarterbacks, the hardest for Vegas to really put a number on is rookie quarterbacks because they really do, and we don't, and you don't, and that's why it would be crazy to bet. That's why it'd be crazy to bet on.
It's a crapshoot.
You really have no idea what Michael Penix is going to be. Even if he's average, you're not winning.
Young quarterbacks in general. Just look at what happened to C.J. Stroud. everybody forgets that this isn't basketball where it's a one-man show. You need other pieces. You need a good offensive coordinator. You need a good offensive line. You need weapons. And while we do think we have all of those things in Atlanta, it's still yet to be seen. Like, you guys are writing checks that Michael Penix's ass might not be able to cash. Like, I think we need to maybe just reel it in a little bit. Like, expectations.
With that being said, are we winning
Super Bowl?
Are we winning
Super Bowl?
Are we winning 8 games?
I do think we win it. I think an 8-9 season is about right in line. Best I'd say 9-8. It'll be right around there.
10. We're getting double digits. We're making
you fools.
I will not. Hey, I'm with you guys on that. Fools. Hey, we will stand there and we'll say 10-7 until it finally happens, and then we'll laugh and all that.
It's good to be on this side of things because I'm a winner either way. Well, I'm either right or I'm a 10-win team.
See, that's weak. That's weak.
It is.
That's weak stuff. That's like betting against your own. We don't do that.
Oh, I don't.
I'm on the side of optimism. We got more to talk about after the break. Alex, this is a wide open race for the Heisman Trophy with several intriguing names. You got Arch Manning, you got Garrett Nussbaum, you got Drew Allard, you got Cade Klubnik. Who's your early pick to win this year's Heisman Trophy?
I think you could go one of two ways. I think you could go with a dark horse, which is more fun, and you could go with the guys like a Sellers or a Lagway who are going to get some of those rushing yards to kind of boost their totals. I'm going to go with the square pick. And I'll do it for a few reasons. Arch Manning, I thought he should have been the starter last year. He can still give you some of those rush yards. And more importantly, Texas's schedule is tailor-made. It's a red carpet. Whereas like Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to go face some very tough defenses. So is Lagway. So is Sellers. Allard, I just think that's a joke. I can't believe people are still like believing in that guy whatsoever. I mean, he is Ryan Leaf to a T. So I'm going to go with the square pick, and it might not be the fun pick, but I just think if you were a gambling man, like the odds make sense. You don't have to put a ton of money down on it. The schedule, more importantly, really makes sense. And you want to talk about an offense, Sarkisian, who is very willing to run up the score. And that's going to come, back at, when they're putting up 50, 60 points against bum, what, it is going to come back in the Heisman race. And everybody loves narratives. Texas back on the map, Heisman. That sells.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard if Arch Manning is even close. You definitely think he'll get the nod, similar to Travis Hunter. Like, there were questions about Gene T and Cam Ward had that ridiculous season, but it just felt like, dude, two-way player, like Travis Hunter is going to win. And I agree. Like, I would have voted Travis Hunter.
Me too.
Even though I think all three guys deserved it. But every year there's multiple guys that deserve it, and the narrative ends up winning out. I'm going to go with Clemson's quarterback. I thought Cade Klubnik, after that Georgia game, was outstanding. And now he gets another SEC team week 1, but it's not the University of Georgia, and it's taking place at home. And he's going to have a chance.
A team that will lose.
Yeah, he's going to have a chance to embarrass a team that struggles in week 1 and has had a lot of struggles defensively, especially with running quarterbacks. With Cade Klubnik, can go out there and use his legs. And I thought what was most impressive about him last year was his accuracy down the field. Everyone talks about Nuss's accuracy, and at times Nuss looks like the best quarterback you'll ever see, and then surefire number 1 overall pick. But Cade Klubnik did it way more consistently, and I thought he was the best quarterback in the country by the end of the year, even with Cam Ward playing. And I think that continues this year. And again, you talk about easy schedules. If he goes out there and puts it up against LSU, and then he has the ACC to kind of just pad the stats, it's going to look very good at the end of the season. Dark horse, though, just a little dark horse. Carson Beck, same kind of thing. I could see him bouncing back in Miami like a lot like Cam Ward did. We just did Heisman Trophy predictions. Now we're going to do national champion. Alex, who do you have winning the national championship in 2025 in the NCAA?
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go back to back, and then I'm gonna go Georgia. I'm gonna go Ohio State. I still believe they're the best team in the Big Ten until Dan Lanning shows me he can win the big game. I don't believe in him. And then everybody is just picking Arch and the sexy Texas Longhorns and DeBoer. He's finally got a quarterback that's not a running back. I don't know why that, the rest of that team was not great. They do have a great defense. I will say that. Their defense is going to be nasty. But guess what? Georgia's been doing it just as long. In fact, they've been doing it better from that point of view in terms of putting guys in the NFL. I just think that Gunnar Stockton's more of Stetson Bennett than Carson Beck. And guess who's the last guy to win a national championship for the Dogs?
Give me Ohio State and the Big Ten. I'm with you there. I'll go out on a limb. I'll say Kalen DeVore. I'll buy into the Ty Simpson hype and say that they have a big year. In the ACC, I'll go Clemson. I think that team's really good.
I didn't even think of that. You're right. I think Clemson, if you wanted to gamble, I think Clemson's a fun bet.
Yeah, I like it. And then in the Big 12, give me Colorado. Give me Deion. Screw it.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to mention a team in the Big 12.
Hey, someone has to make it.
No, that's not true.
Someone
we
has
can't
to
just
make
nuke that
group
conference.
Of 5. Who do you got?
BYU. Kicking kids out for having sex.
Yeah,
crazy.
See, that's why I like Colorado.
Crazy.
Deion would never.
BYU's Big 12.
Yeah, they're Big 12. Yeah, watch out.
There you go.
Yeah, watch out for that conference, man. It's a freaky conference over there. A lot of weird.
Arizona
games.
State.
Yeah,
love those guys.
Sam Levitt. All right, we're done. That wraps up our show.
Love those guys.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
No, Georgia Tech, not Clemson. Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Buzz. We'll be back with you tomorrow.